All right. We are rocking and rolling. Okay. Um, Hi everyone. Happy Friday and welcome to APL Readers Corner. My name is Nicole and I have the lovely Julie with me here today um, to do our Readers Corner. So for those who don't know, who haven't tuned in before, Readers Corner is a book discussion review. We pick a book each month and kind of try to change the genres or the topics and themes each month just to kind of make it interesting. All the books that we choose, however, though, are on Hoopla. That way, not just us can get it, but any one of you can check it out for yourselves either before or after our session has ended. Um, you can join in, you can ask questions, we'll read the comments, and we'll answer any questions you have along the way. But this month, Julie and I were really excited because we decided to do a graphic novel. Because Hoopla has a lot of great graphic
A
novels. Not
ton,
many of you.
especially if you're like into fandoms and stuff. They have lots of Doctor Who and Avatar: The Last Airbender and tons of stuff.
So many. So if you don't
Hmm.
know, you should definitely check it out. Hoopla has
Yeah.
a lot of great graphic novels. But one we decided to pick was a new one. It came out last year. It is called Canto Volume 1, If I Only Had a Heart by David Booher. And the illustrator was Drew Zucker. And so we're really excited to talk about this one. Take it away, Julie.
So graphic novels are kind of a little bit different than what you would picture of like a traditional comic book. So comic books are usually thin, whereas graphic novels are full length. And so a lot of times you'll have a lot of small like comic books that actually go into a graphic novel, like with Canto. Or like Ms. Marvel, you'll have like the different editions that all kind of make up the graphic novel. And so they are published in comic strip format, and there are lots of different themes, but they always have a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's a central narrative, and like kind of side stories and things like that. And there's lots of character development, personal journeys, thematic messages, and so they have lots of. I know people think that they don't have a lot of dialogue, but they really do. And they're real books. They are real books. But they're really fun. They're really amazing. I like to read a lot of graphic novels, so I usually read at least like I don't know, like 10 a year. So, um, but we'll kind of get into what Canto is about.
Yeah, so this one really, I think, really intrigued us both, actually.
Hmm.
So the summary for this from Hoopla is enslaved for generations, Kanto's people once had hearts, but now they have clocks. They are forbidden to love, yet Kanto loves a little tin girl. Also not allowed to have names, but he was named Canto by his love. When the slavers damage her clock beyond repair, Kanto embarks on an incredible journey through his strange and fantastic world to bring back her heart. It has been hailed as a truly entertaining and striking modern fairy tale, as well as a beautiful and heartfelt story about love and heroism. Kanto is an all ages adventures for past and present generations alike. It is inspired by The Wizard of Oz and Dante's Inferno. Heart fantasy, heart adventure, all heart. Yay. For those who don't know, David M. Booher grew up in a small Ohio town reading Stephen King, watching the Goonies, and eating Lucky Charms in front of He-Man. He was trading garbage pail kids, playing Nintendo, and going outside. This is all from his bio, by the way. He channels his love for all the best 1980s sci-fi and fantasy. He's co-created and written comic series Canto, Powerless, LGBTQ-led Killer Queens, Alien Bounty Hunter, and the middle grade series Tales of Lake Erie. He's also written several features. He is a lawyer by trade. He lives in LA with his husband, and the true masterminds behind their operation are adopted greyhounds.
Yes.
You're going to write an
Well,
author bio. You write it that way. It's amazing.
yes. I also now have a whole bunch of things to add to my to read list, so thank you for that.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I liked that at the back of the book he talked about like growing up and watching things like The Neverending Story and Labyrinth, and so that was really cool to kind of read. Like I grew up watching all of those. So the social media reviews are all really, really positive, which is great. So Amazon, it has a 4.6 star rating. Hoopla has 3.9 stars. Sorry, Goodreads has 3.9 stars. Hoopla has 4.5 stars. So which is really great. I rated it on Goodreads. I gave it a 4. So I really liked it. I'm a little more judgmental about Wizard of Oz stuff because I know I've talked at length about my Oz obsession. Um, I grew up with my dad reading me the books when I was little, so they're very, very close to my heart. But I thought this is probably one of the best interpretations I've seen. I actually went and grabbed this from my basement. This is the Marvel version of their kind of take on the graphic novel, and it's really, really dark. And I was just not a fan of this one, but I liked Canto so much more. I think that the illustrations were so much better. I know you and I talked about that, Nicole, and that it was just so much better than this guy. So sorry, Marvel. It was a really different take on the story of the Tin Man than I've heard. There's been lots of different interpretations of the Wizard of Oz, and especially the Tin Man, who's always been my favorite of the three. But I thought the story was really new and inventive.
I can definitely agree. I mean, I couldn't stop looking at those illustrations. You're not kidding when you put in a graphic novel, there's so many, it's not just art, but it's writing. You're reading, and you're reading even the illustration, because there's so much conveyed in that one picture. So we're beautiful. And I loved the idea of this new take on like Wizard of Oz, and the idea that they have clocks for hearts, and and Kanto is trying to, I mean, he's not just trying to find um, part of his love, but he's also trying to find why their hearts are gone, and why they're only left with clocks, and why they were enslaved in their city of Arcana. And the whole journey itself was just great. And I think it definitely hit that, you know, fairy tale like, while still being Wizard of Oz and Dante's
Yeah.
Inferno. I mean, it was wonderful.
I
Definitely tugged at your heartstrings.
I liked the heart idea too, that the clock idea for the hearts, because I mean that harkens to the end of the Wizard of Oz, right? When the wizard gives him the clock, which I always thought that was just such a kind of a cute tie-in. The way that Canto is illustrated, I thought was really interesting because it was almost a combination of like the more traditional Tin Man that you see with TikTok, who, if you guys don't know who TikTok is, you need to Google that right now because TikTok is awesome. He appears in some of the later books. If you've seen Return to Oz, which is one of my favorite movies, super trippy 1980s movie, awesome. Like TikTok is like this mechanical machine, and you have to wind him up. And but he's very round, just like Kanto is, which I think is really cool. So, all right. So what did we not like so much about Kanto?
Um, I think probably the only few things that I really didn't like is that I need more.
Hmm.
The story,
Wow.
you can tell it isn't done. And it just came out last year, so we now have to wait for the second volume, and I'm not sure where it's going.
Yeah.
We have found out, my cat, everyone.
Hi, Hades.
We have found out that might have been a little bit of a reason why they no longer have hearts, why they have clocks. But there's still, I feel like there's more room for the story. I feel like there's more room for the journey to go
Yeah.
beyond their city, um, and just to find out maybe more about their backstory of, how they became enslaved. We know why, but maybe a little bit more of a backstory. I'm a big backstory person, so I feel
Hmm.
like that was missing. And then, luckily, the cool feature about Hoopla is that when you're reading a graphic novel, you can actually zoom in on different comic strips, um, because it's hard to see on the screen. I'm sure you felt this way too, Julie. You were
I was
squinting
like
a lot
right up
trying
on
to
it.
read. So I would use that little magnifying glass tool, but then it would just hover over a certain place and get stuck, and then I'd be
Hmm.
like, oh no, what was that part again? So that those were probably my two biggest dislikes.
Yeah, I would agree. The words were really small on the screen, and I didn't want to use the magnifier because I kept having to like mouse everywhere, and it just took forever. And I was just like, no, I can't with you anymore. And some of the font they used was gray, and so I was just like, wait,
Yeah.
what? What does it say? I can't. So I think if they would have used a little bit bolder, bigger font. I know that takes away from the illustrations, but I think that would have made it a little bit easier. So. I wish there was more Oz in it. Like we have the Tin Man,
Yeah.
and they make reference to the Emerald City. I won't say any
Oh,
more than that because I don't want to give anything else away. But they do kind
right.
of reference the Emerald City. But I would have liked just more, some of my more favorite characters. I wanted to see Lunchbox Trees. I wanted to see the Deadly Desert. I wanted to see Ozma. I wanted to see Jap Pumpkinhead. And when they talk about like going to see the Emerald City, I was really hoping they would mention the Deadly Desert, and they didn't. I was just like, oh, the sadness. I like the Deadly Desert. Well, I mean, no one likes it, but you know, definitely the cliffhanger, like you were saying, they just sort of the story just kind of stops, and you're just like, but what? But no, 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 no.
Yeah.
So I also was I thought it was really interesting. So at the very end, uh, how did you pronounce his last name? Because I don't want to say it wrong. The author,
Um, Booher.
Booher. Okay. Uh, Booher kind of explains that when L. Frank Baum first wrote The Wizard of Oz, that he reflected on the stories of his childhood, which were, the Grimm fairy tales, right? And how seriously dark those fairy tales are. And he wanted to create something for his niece that was just kind of like light and fluffy in a kid's story. I know that there's all the hidden allegory in that. We're not talking about that right now. We're just talking about the kids part. Um, but kind of how the idea of the Wizard of Oz is that it's just supposed to be nice and kind of a little bit lighter and not have like the big moral issues in it. And it's funny because Bruher brings that up in like the afterword, but I feel like the book is very much like very like heavy with the morals and everything. And so it was kind of funny that he brought that up and I'm like, but you went in a different direction. Because it is a little dark. I think it's darker than The Wizard of Oz, like the traditional books, which by the way are totally different than the movies. If you have only seen the movies, please read the books. It's like two totally different things. But I really enjoyed it. Like it's probably one of my favorite interpretations. I would say it's definitely in like solid top five Wizard of Oz interpretations for me.
Good. Do you think that, I think maybe because he hinted that it's more um, inspired by Wizard of Oz, that maybe we will see
I hope so. I have high
some
hopes.
characters or hints of characters
Yeah.
in his next one. There have been a couple interviews that he has done about the second volume, um, but I didn't want to read too much into it because I didn't want to get high expectations for what this is going to be about. Um, but it makes me, you said, there's definitely the Tin Man in there. It makes me wonder if the his journey ends. He wants to go to the Shrouded Man to find out why he took his heart,
Yeah.
and could definitely see that as being the idea of the wizard uh, controlling everything. It does seem a little dark then, if you're gonna go with it that way. I wonder if maybe you had showed me the illustrations before of your Marvel book. It's almost like Canto's illustrations are a little more happier, more colorful.
Yes. They're more colorful. They're
Storyline
a lot
is
more
still dark.
rounded. Yeah.
Yes.
I
So
liked
I
that he
think
had a really good use of symbolism, though. I feel like
yes.
in these books, a really, really good use of symbolism. And I liked the change of the backstory with the Tin Man character because in the books, like he was a human and he was trying to save the woman he loved, and he kept like chopping bits off to try to save this Munchkin girl that he loved from a witch, I believe. And so I like the new interpretation.
Who
It
do
was
you
fun.
think then? Who do you think is the warrior Canto meets in the Emerald City? You think that is like a Vamp Dorothy?
I don't I'm thinking I mean it could be one of the witches too, like an interpretation of one of the
Ah,
witches.
okay.
But the wizard is also a lot more devious, I think, than we like to give him credit for. Especially if you only see the movie where he just looks really incompetent. I think that he's a little bit more devious than we like to think.
That's
But
true. I didn't think of that.
I just want to wait and see. I don't want to wait. I just want to find out now.
I need to know. Do you think that Canto fits a lot of that genre themes that a graphic novel typically has?
Oh yeah, he definitely goes on a personal journey. I think that yeah, the person that he was when he starts versus the person that he is at the end, like his journey isn't over, that's for sure. Like it's more like this is act one of like a longer story. But he definitely changes. He learns a lot about himself, and I think he's a slightly different person at the end of the book. But he's got more life ahead of him. He's got more. And I'm excited to see the more.
Probably is going to be a lot more personal growth and development than if the
Hmm.
story continues the way we think it's going to. He's going to
Yeah.
do another journey or something or self-discovery. I mean, he already did. He
Hmm.
learned a little bit more about his species and how they came to be enslaved and their clocks or their
Yeah.
hearts became clocks. And once their time is up, they're done, which was really like, oh,
Sad.
I got deep
So
real quick.
sad.
Deep
So sad.
hit me right here.
Hmm.
Um, but so we keep talking about the Wizard of Oz. You say this is one of your favorites, but what is your ultimate favorite adaptation?
Oh, hands down, Wicked. Hands down. Absolutely. I mean, the Judy Garland version is a very close second, but man, Wicked.
Man, Wicked is just I mean, if you want to go into like backstories, I think I love that one the most, mainly just because I'm always interested in villain backstories and then kind of finding out that they're just misunderstood villain. I mean, there's a couple different adaptations of the Wicked Witch of the West,
Mhm.
and obviously Wicked was is a little different.
Yeah.
Elphaba was just a very, very, very misunderstood young woman who
My favorite
just
line is when like she gets Dorothy and she's just like, "Who takes a dead woman's shoes? Were you raised in a barn?" Like, died.
actually seen it in three different places. I once saw
Oh,
it in London, which was definitely different. Yes, the
yeah.
accents were there. That was awesome. New York and then Chicago.
Oh, I've seen it
And
here in Denver twice at the Buell.
it doesn't matter how you see it. It was
Yeah,
it's
so good.
beautiful. I kind of also liked Oz the Great and Powerful. I don't know if you ever saw that one with
I did. I saw that one with
James Franco and
James
Mila
Franco, yeah.
Kunis. That
That
was a
one had a
cool one.
really cool twist on it that I didn't see coming. Um, Andy Weir has a graphic novel too that features Dorothy with it's like Dorothy and Wendy and Alice, I think. And they're
Whoa!
all at like, yeah, they're all at like this, it's like the Cheshire something. It's so good. It's a YA. I have to look up the title now.
I feel like those three are like the perfect characters to put together
Yeah, Cheshire
just because,
Crossing,
oh,
which is not on Hoopla. I'm very sorry to say. I checked.
how dare you. Just add to my to be read pile.
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Um, One that comes to mind for me is I know we talked about this before, but if any of you have read the Dorothy Must Die series by Daniel Page, it's another YA
Mhm.
novel. Another very cool twist on the original tale from Dorothy's perspective, but
Yeah.
it's been a while since I've read it, so I'm definitely gonna have to reread it again. But You know, we're not talking about the original. I have sad to say I haven't read the original yet, but
You
I
should
would
read it.
like
It's
to.
good.
I
And
also want to read
then
more of Gregory Maguire's books. You know
yeah.
how he has quite a few of them, not just Wicked, but he has a
Oh
couple
yeah, it's
more.
like a whole bunch of them.
Would be
I
cool.
liked the Tim Min series. That was really good too,
Yeah.
which was on sci-fi, and so of course it has a very different like kind of dark take to everything, which was I really enjoyed. Oh, and The Wiz. The Wiz
The
is super fun.
Wiz. It's interesting how you could take Wizard of Oz, an adaptation, and either make it super fun and upbeat and whimsical, or you could take
Dark.
it and just
So
opposite
dark.
direction, just dark and twisty. Like there
Yeah.
is, I'd like to see a happy medium. I don't think there might be one just yet. Mainly because I think it can just, it's perfect to go either full dark and twisty or full whimsy and
I feel like that's the nice thing about Wicked is Wicked tends to the musical, not the book. They are again very different if you've read the book. Um, but I think it kind of hits that mark where it goes a little dark, but it comes back like I think it hits the mark for me. So plus
true.
Defying Gravity and Popular are just like the greatest songs ever.
That's my warrior song, man. Defying Gravity. I can put that out any
Yes.
day. Just, yeah. So, what would be one of your favorite characters then?
I like Ozma, which who we don't see in like the regular Wizard of Oz, but she's super cool. I really like her. She was like the ruler of Oz before the wizard. And drama. Of course, drama. Always drama, right?
Oh, well, yeah. That's what makes good stories.
But I can always remember though, like identifying with parts of Dorothy and like just completely not understanding her as a kid because I just remember being like, I don't understand. You fell into this amazing, totally different world full of magic and everything, and you want to go back to Kansas?
Just gotta go back to Auntie M.
What?
And,
I would have stayed in Oz. I would have been like, I'm sure my family will miss me. I'll figure out a way to send you postcard. Bye. I'm in Oz now.
well, I guess if you look at it the way of we're immersed in other worlds.
Yeah.
So if we had the opportunity, we would jump at it. But if you never knew there were other worlds or
Yeah.
alternate realities or whatever, you got put into one, I think it's safe to say a lot of us would be like, take me back. Just because you're not familiar with your surroundings anymore.
Yeah.
It is a new place and you know nothing and no one, and you could literally die. No
Yeah.
one would know where you went. Sorry to make it dark.
There's there's this and I cannot remember what it's called, but there's a series that kind of plays with that theme of like people going into other worlds and like making choices and stuff about whether they want to come back. I'm trying to look it up because I've read all of them.
Oh wow, that
Uh,
sounds
I will
interesting.
find it.
Well, I guess
But
I can keep going. I like the lion. Every time I think of the lion, I think of both the Judy Garland Wizard of Oz movie, and I think of the lion.
yes.
He's very fearful, yet also courageous at the same time. And then I think of the little lion in Wicked, the little lion cub
Oh,
that he's scared. So every time I think of it, I was like, ah. But like I said, if I'm looking at Wicked for sure, I'm all for the Wicked Witch of the West.
oh yeah.
They done did her wrong. And
Yes.
Wizard, I mean, find out who he really is in her
Hmm.
story, and he's the villain.
Yeah.
He's the true villain, and it's like, wow. Um, so go away.
Okay.
Um,
It's the Wayward Children series by Sheena McGuire. And there
oh,
are
okay.
6 books, and the seventh one should be coming out. There's going to be, oh, yay, there's going to be 10. I'm very excited.
Wow.
But
That's a
it
long
plays with
series.
it plays with the whole idea of other worlds and people going into other worlds and coming back and not coming back, and it's super. I enjoy it. It is very dark, but I like it.
I like series when there are a lot of books. That gives me
Hmm.
some closure towards the
Yes,
end.
yes.
I need closure. Well, we totally gave everyone listening like 5 book recommendations.
If you did not find something to read after this,
Ooh, just add them to your pile like mine.
yes.
You won't, you will get to them someday,
Yeah.
someday. Um, but any any other question do you have that
I
we
don't
need
think
to
so. I think we hit on pretty much everything except when is the next book coming out? But
needs to be soon? Well,
yes,
I think what we've learned from this is Canto is great. Canto
yes.
is really for all ages.
Yeah, it's dark, but it's not like, you know, oh my gosh, what like I would let my 10-year-old read Canto and I probably will actually.
There's no crude language. There's
No,
no, there's action scenes, but they're not very vulgar. They're not very
no.
gruesome. Get the
And
point across.
yeah, kind of like the bad the bad violence. It's not like, really like you said, it's not graphic. It's not too bad.
No, no. I think I think everyone will enjoy it, like you said. Um, Maybe you should wait, um, if so that you can get the second one, so you can binge read, so that you can get the whole story and all of the feels,
Yeah.
instead of having to
Oh,
wait impatiently like us.
I totally forgot. The guards outside the castle remind
Oh
me
gosh,
of the knockers on Labyrinth. If you've ever seen Labyrinth, I was just like, oh my gosh, he totally like those guys were fantastic.
you could tell he definitely took his favorites from his childhood,
Hmm.
and there was major influences into his graphic novels. So it must have been really fun for him and the illustrator, Drew Zucker, to just collaborate on this beautiful
Oh,
story and
so
this
pretty.
beautiful journey, and
And
put in their own little, things.
yeah, and for me, like you can have a really, really great graphic novel, like text-wise, and if the art just doesn't hit it, it's like it taints the whole book. It's like an audiobook with a bad narrator. Like it
Yes. Yeah.
just I can't. And I loved like they nailed it. Like a great story, great art, like awesome graphic novel.
Awesome. No, no bad
Yay.
words. We have nothing
Yeah.
bad to say. Please read it, and all of our
Yes.
60 million book recommendations and movies and
Yes.
TV shows that we added to this segment, because that's how great it
Yeah,
was.
tell us what you guys think and tell us what your favorite, like either Dante's Inferno or Wizard of Oz interpretation is, because there are a ton of both in the world, which is awesome.
For sure. Well, for those of you who watch, thanks for joining us. Please tune in next month. We're going to be reading, well, not me, we will be reading Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. That should be really fun. Don't forget to
Yeah.
check out all of our other awesome programs we have going on. We got story times.
Yes.
We have hello. Please stop in to your local Aurora Public Library for some of our awesome grab and goes. Miss Julie has worked really hard on these, so
And
please
so is
come
Miss
pick them
Nicole.
up. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, and
Um,
summer reading starts June 1st.
Oh my gosh, summer reading is starting. Summer of
Yes.
Imagination. Please tune to our website and don't forget to pick up your log starting June 1st. Get
Yes.
some awesome prizes. The graphics are amazing. The
They're
theme
so
is
cute.
tails and tales. Tails,
Yes.
tails. So it is just awesome. So I can't wait for everyone to check it out. Really, thank you so much, as always, for joining me. I'm Nicole, and thank you for joining APL Readers Corner with us this
Bye,
awesome
guys.
Friday. I hope you guys have a great day.
Bye. Have a great weekend.